The Sahel, a vast semi-arid belt south of the Sahara, is now the epicenter of a rapidly escalating Islamist insurgency. Once plagued by poverty and weak governance, the region, spanning Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, now faces a violent crisis threatening millions. National governments have lost control, allowing militant groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State to entrench themselves. These groups exploit local grievances and the absence of basic services, recruiting fighters and imposing their own brutal order. The result is a humanitarian catastrophe, with violence intensifying and spreading beyond borders, making the Sahel the world's deadliest hotspot for terrorism. The Sahel's crisis is a profound human tragedy, demanding a global, multifaceted response. The world cannot afford to look away. The Sahel now accounts for nearly half of all terrorism-related deaths worldwide, a staggering testament to the scale of violence. In 2023, fatalities in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger surged. ACLED reports over 11,600 deaths in just 12 months, making the region Africa's most lethal conflict zone. Attacks are relentless, systematic, and increasingly sophisticated, overwhelming local security and leaving civilians exposed. Militants now launch large-scale, coordinated assaults, sometimes killing hundreds in a single incident. The rising death toll is a clear sign that current strategies are failing. Burkina Faso has become the epicenter of the Sahel crisis, recording over 2,000 terrorist incidents and 8,000 deaths in 2023 alone. The state has lost control of at least 40% of its territory, with militants besieging towns. Neighboring Mali and Niger face similar chaos, especially in the lawless tri-border zone where militants cross borders freely. The violence is now spilling south into coastal states like Benin, Togo, Côte d'Ivoire, and Ghana. Militant groups are expanding, exploiting porous borders and weak state presence to establish new cells. This southward push transforms the Sahel crisis into a continental threat. The arc of instability now stretches from the Sahel to the Gulf of Guinea. Without a coordinated response, the insurgency could entrench itself across West Africa. Two rival jihadist coalitions drive the Sahel's violence: JNIM, aligned with Al-Qaeda, and the Islamic State Sahel Province, ISSP. JNIM, led by Iyad Ag-Ghali, embeds itself in local communities, exploiting conflicts and sometimes offering protection to win support. ISSP is notorious for extreme brutality and indiscriminate attacks, especially in the tri-border area. These groups not only fight the state, but also clash with each other, adding to the chaos. Their tactics have evolved from hit-and-run raids to sophisticated military operations, including besieging towns and overrunning army bases. Both groups are expanding southward, establishing logistical corridors and sleeper cells in coastal states. Their strategic ambition is clear: open new fronts, secure funding, and draw recruits from new populations. The architects of terror in the Sahel are strategic, adapting to exploit state weaknesses. Their growing capabilities make them a formidable threat to the region. Sahel militants have mastered siege warfare, blockading towns and military garrisons, exposing the state's inability to protect its citizens. The use of IEDs has surged, targeting convoys and isolating communities. Militants now coordinate large-scale assaults, mobilizing hundreds of fighters to overwhelm military outposts and seize weapons. The conflict is no longer confined to the north. Militant networks are expanding into coastal West Africa. Groups like JNIM exploit smuggling routes and local grievances to establish footholds in Benin, Togo, and Côte d'Ivoire. Initial expansion involves intimidation and recruitment, followed by targeted attacks to destabilize new areas. The Sahel crisis is a human tragedy, with mass displacement as its most immediate consequence. Over 2 million people are displaced in Burkina Faso alone. Across the region, the number exceeds 3.5 million. Camps are overcrowded, lacking water, sanitation, and healthcare, straining fragile state services. The violence has triggered a severe food crisis. Farmers can't access fields, and militants loot harvests. Acute malnutrition is rising. Over 30 million people need humanitarian aid. Thousands of schools are closed, denying education to over 10 million children, making this lost generation vulnerable to recruitment by extremists. Without urgent action, the humanitarian crisis will deepen for years to come. Military coups have reshaped the Sahel's security landscape. France's counter-terrorism mission has ended, with Western forces withdrawing amid anti-French sentiment. This has left a security vacuum now filled by Russia through the Wagner Group, rebranded as the Africa Corps. This marks a major geopolitical shift, with Russia gaining influence as Western presence wanes. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have formed the alliance of Sahel states and withdrawn from ECOWAS. The region's ability to contain the crisis without broader support is in serious doubt. 2024 has seen a wave of devastating attacks, underscoring the insurgents' growing strength. In February, coordinated assaults in northern Burkina Faso targeted military and civilian sites, killing dozens. A church attack in escalating left at least 15 dead, while simultaneous strikes overwhelmed state responses. In March, the Islamic State Sahel province ambushed a Malian convoy, killing soldiers and capturing equipment. These attacks serve as propaganda victories, boosting militant morale and recruitment. The siege of Mansilla in June saw over 100 soldiers killed, with militants briefly occupying the town. Such incidents reveal the vulnerability of isolated outposts and the insurgents' ability to mass overwhelming force. Attacks are more frequent, deadly, and ambitious, targeting civilians, religious sites, and aid workers. Each success erodes public confidence in the state and deepens the humanitarian crisis. The Sahel conflict is entering a new, more dangerous phase. The Sahel's deepening crisis demands a fundamental shift in strategy. Military solutions alone have failed. A holistic, long-term approach is essential. Regional cooperation is crucial. Fragmentation only strengthens insurgents. Effective counterterrorism must be paired with good governance and development. The most powerful weapon against extremism is a legitimate state that provides security, justice, and opportunity. Tackling corruption and empowering local leaders can rebuild trust and resilience. International partners must adapt, offering discreet support and prioritizing civilian protection. Humanitarian aid and development funding must be massively scaled up to address root causes. Dialogue, including localized peace deals, is necessary to break the cycle of violence. Only a combination of security, governance, and development can prevent the Sahel from descending further into chaos. However, there's one question we want to ask here, and that is, how effective is the leadership of Ibrahim Traoré in the Sahel region? Watch the next video in Kwe to find out more about what's happening in the Sahel.